Here we go, brand new refurbished drone, almost like new. Let's go. Hi, how's it? So this is the drone we're going to be working on today. So over the last couple of months I've been buying bits and pieces to slowly refurbish this drone. So we have Speedy Betaflight stack. This is the F405 V3. They've been very popular lately, so decided to check them out. And then for motors, we're going to go with these Velox. They're like a T-motor budget motor basically, and these are the 2050 kV motors, so 6S. So this is going to be 6S. This drone has come a long way over the years. I think this is the second ever 5-inch that I built, but like it's not the original frame. It's not it used to be analog. It's not. I think the only thing that's the same is the flight stack. I mean, not the flight stack, the flight controller. Let's take it apart. It is half stripped already. Right, so if you have a closer look at this flight stack, you can see that the flight controller is a 20mm and the ESC is a 30mm, and I had to 3D print a little adapter plate because the ESC that I had blew. Also, the motors don't all match, so this one is an odd motor compared to the rest. These three are brother hobby motors, and this one is just a random different motor that I had lying around. So basically what we're going to do today, strip out the flight stack completely and replace the motors. The receiver, the air unit, the antenna and the camera, that's going to stay. But basically we're doing a refurb of this little guy today. This is going to be our mission. So let's get started undoing the motors. Right, motor stripped out, camera randomly dangling here on the side. So now I got to take apart this flight stack, which may be a bit of a challenge because I don't exactly remember what the hell's going on here and how I put this together. This is definitely something special. But let's see. Right, so those two wires is some special jippo I did to get the 4-in-1 ESC to work with this flight controller. This right here is the receiver that we're going to undo. And that is the flight controller. This little guy has served me tremendously well. It's seen a lot, a lot. Right, so flight controller. Let's see. Not flight controller, ESC. Alright, this is the ESC, the 4-in-1 ESC. I had to make a special adapter for the cap because it didn't reach, and as you can see from this plug, it has definitely seen better days. It's been through quite a lot, so let's get this guy refurbed. I really like that this comes with the gummies already installed. This is my first time building with a Speedy flight stack, and want to see what all the fuss is about because they seem very popular. Alright, so first thing we do is put the little plug in, and I just want to see how this is going to fit. Looks like it's going to be quite tight over there. I might have to do a similar trick like I did with the cap, which is really not ideal. Just trying to see if there's any way to make this work with the cap standing straight up like that. Flight controller? No. It will not work. It will not work. Let's see, wrong way around. Like that it fits. You can see the cap sticking through that little hole, but that's doable. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do is just give it some solder in that position so that cap stays there. cool, now we got the position of the cap sorted. Now let's give it some more. And then what I'm going to do is connect these in the gaps. Looks like I'm going to have to give these leads a little bit extra solder. Just get them going. There we go. That should be easier. Should I bend that away? There we go. Have a look at that. Beautiful. Now we can just, the cap can go back like that, so it can be in the position it was, and these can basically bend around it like that. So back on the frame, like this. That's basically what we want. So I just had a look, and these wires, this is the little loom that comes from the air unit, and that can plug straight into the flight controller. The plug for the digital, yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it shows you on the 9-volt ground TXRX, and then the other two as well that we're not going to use if you want to use the DJI controller with your drone, but that we don't use. But first, before we connect that all up, we got to do the motors, so let's get started on that. And another point to check. Right, look at that. Isn't that starting to look like it's gonna be gorgeous? Okay. So now I've 3D printed these little covers that sits on the arms and protects the motors, and you can see they have little cutouts so that you can just use cable ties, which is not bad. I quite like the idea. The first time I'm going to try it out, because my Nazgul, which is behind me, which you might have seen, loves hitting the motor wires in a prop strike. It happens way too often. So I'm hoping this will be stronger and this will last, but I'm pretty sure it will, because you can obviously put it out of different plastics, but even if it's just PLA, it should be more than strong enough. So I'm going to try this out. I'll put a link in the description for the files. It's not, I didn't design this. I'll put the link to the original designer, so you guys can, if you like this, if you use this, you can give the original designer a tip. Right, look at that. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of cable ties on a build, but I think for this I'd be willing to make the exception. I just don't like the buckles of cable ties on my builds usually, but this is pretty neat. I'm pretty sure you could also use some insulation tape around the arm to keep it there, but I think this is much better, so let's do the other three. Alright, isn't that starting to look neat? We're getting there. Right, so now we gotta connect up all the wires. I'm thinking taking them around like this. Let's see if we do that. The flight controller on top here. That'll work marvelously, so we'll go with that. Let's do it. First I'm going to go around and actually turn all the ESC pads before I carry on. Alright, that's one down, 3 more to go. Alrighto, there we go. All the motors are soldered on, and now we can proceed with the flight controller. So obviously that connects the two boards together. Then we want to plug in the air unit into its plug and just double check. Yep, that's wired correctly. There we go. It is still a bit tight, but it goes. It's also pushing up against the cap, but there. Alright, so the flight controller is mounted, as you can see. So now all that's left is the receiver and then getting everything back together. But first, I'm just gonna add screws here to tighten down the stack. Now, what we still need to do is the receiver. So, in the SpeedyB documentation, it tells you if you have an ELRS receiver to connect it up front here. But my receiver sits here on top of the air unit, so I'm going to use these pads here at the back and use UART6 instead of UART2. And front they tell you to use UART2. So before we carry on, let's just turn those pads. And there we go, we all connected up. Alright, so I'm gonna connect my drone to my computer so we can start configuration. There we go. First thing we want to do is go to update firmware. It should auto detect the board. You can just click there. There we go. Auto detect crossfire, and I don't think you really need to do anything else. Load firmware. It's downloading. There we go. Then you go flash firmware. Ignore the risks. This is a brand new build, so we don't have to save any backup files, create any backup files. There we go, programming successful. So now we're gonna go back and connect. Cool. So that's a good sign. Calibrate accelerometer. make sure your drone is nice and level. So I've usually put it on my 3D printing bed. Then I know it's nice and level. Right, so ports. The main thing we want to do here, UART2 is not what you're using, that we're not using. UART6 is what we have for our RX. So save and reboot. Right, after that, we want to go to the receiver tab, switch your radio on. You might have to just make sure that your radio is bound to your um, receiver. Okay, then let's go to the receiver tab. Move your sticks around, you can see the drone moving, then you know it's working. Cool. So then we're gonna go back to ports, configuration. So what we need to do, yeah, that is correct. But what I usually do just to make life easier is like I'll come to presets. And this one I've got started right here, OSD for FPV. And this is for O3 air units, for vistas, for as you can see there, it lists everything, WTF OS, all of the things. Then you just select the UART, which is UART1, go pick, save and reboot. That's done. That means your OSD should be working. Let's go to configuration. So yeah, you can name your craft, you can name your pilot. I'm turning these on. And okay, air mode, LED strip is on, even though I don't have anything connected to. If we want to connect something later down the line, it's just easier. OSD, we obviously want on. Maximum arm angle. I'm changing this just because if you crash land somewhere and you want to get going, sometimes if it's on 20 or 25 degrees, it's just not enough. So change that down to 90 degrees so you can just about always arm your drone. And save and reboot. Right, so let's get to the modes tab. So on, you obviously need, there we go. Angle narrow and in free fail safe, no beeper. That's, you want to click add range, not add link. There we go. OSD disable is if you have an HD quad. Actually, if you have analog quad as well, you can do this. Just to disable your OSD on a switch if you're recording your DVR. Then if you want to upload the content to whatever social media or YouTube or whatever, you don't have all your OSD elements in the video, it can be useful if that's something you do. I use a GoPro, which is a completely separate camera, so I don't need that. These actually flip over after crash. That one is quite important. Rearm a lot of people use. I do not. Launch control, yeah. So let's save. That's all I use there. It's very minimal. Uh, put tuning is also, we're not going to go into that today, but that's also a thing we're going to do. You can do motors. Let's do motors. So bidirectional D shot is the thing we want to enable, but you need to, because this is BLHeli-S, it doesn't work natively, so we have to flash BlueJ to our ESCs, but I'll show you how to do that in a separate video. That also goes hand in hand with this eShop beacon configuration. So basically what this does, because if you've been paying attention up till now, you will have noticed there's no beeper on this drone. But if you have this, you can use your motors actually as beepers, which is pretty cool. And it gives you this bidirectional D shot, which is a game changer. It's really good, and you want that on your drone. Okay, now we want to check our motor direction. So for our ESC to switch on, we're going to have to plug in a battery. Cool. So then let's understand the risks. Okay, motor one. Now I run these motors. Motor one's the wrong way around. And I just pinch them between, so yeah, it shows you. So you want your drone facing forward, and then you can check that going like this, or spinning the right or the wrong way. Motor two, yeah, then as I mentioned, I just pinched them also wrong. Motor three, also wrong. Motor four, that's right. Okay, so now we're gonna stop. Then we go in motor direction. Understand? Please make sure you don't have your props on whenever you do any configuration of your drone on the bench. Let's go wizard. Then start the motor. Okay, so one, which is spinning the wrong way, it's spinning like this instead of like this. Pick it. Now it's spinning the right way. Two, also the wrong way. Pick it. Now it's spinning the right way. Three, the wrong way, right way. And four is going the right way. Cool. Stop motors close. And then I'm just gonna raise the master and check them quick. That one is right, two is right, three is right, four is right. Stop motors. Cool. All done. Now OSD. So easiest way to do this in a situation like this is to disconnect the drone. I'm busy with it at the moment. And then I'm going to connect the old flight controller that I had, plug that in. Okay, then go to CLI, we type not pump, but dump. Cool, then we scroll up and we come to these OSD elements, set OSD elements. Then we want to copy all of the set OSD parameters. Set OSD, that's the last one. Copy. And then plug that and plug the drone you're working on back in. And then we go to CLI again. And then we go paste all those elements. So if you see when you're pasting this, if it gives you errors, then that means you probably haven't updated your firmware to the latest version. And then after you've done this, you just type save, enter. There we go. And we should be done. Yeah, that should be it. Let's go to OSD. See, there's my elements I don't use a lot. It's just my fly minutes, battery voltage per cell, and then my link quality. I've got my warnings comes up here by low voltage, and then the flip over after crash. So I've got a very minimal OSD. I know most people have a lot more stuff, but that's all I use. It's all I have need for. So yeah, that's great. It sets your canvas size and everything for HD. So that's perfect. That's all we need to do. Disconnect and we're done. Right, so mostly put together. What I'm going to put on is this 3D printed GoPro mount for a GoPro 11 mini, which is what I have. And there we go, that's basically it. We have pretty much a completely refurbished drone. So if you've got a bind and fly that's seen better days, you want to do some housekeeping on it, I'd really suggest tackling a little project like this. It's a lot of fun. But the last thing we're going to do is the props. Going to use some clear props just to show off those motors. There we go. Just have to find the motor screws in the box, but that is basically it.